So, people mainly seem to be criticizing The Undoing on HBO because instead of focusing on this minority family who has this murder happen within their family, it focuses on this affluent white couple in New York City. And I get that criticism a little bit, but I also feel like it's a bad reason to just completely write a show off. Because to me, showrunners should have the freedom to make the shows that they want to make. And the reason that these types of shows, like Big Little Lies, get made is because people are interested in the lifestyle of the rich and famous. It's not because rich people are the ones making these shows. It's because they know that all of us on the outside look in and go, I want to know what it's like to be rich. I want to see the beautiful dresses like the one that Nicole Kidman's character wears to this fundraiser for their child's private school. We want to live their lifestyles. We want to get to do the things that they get to do. And watching these characters get to do it is the next best thing. So, this show, I feel like it's a little bit of a potboiler. Like, I doubt anyone involved here was super invested in it. I doubt that the creator, David E. Kelley, who also created Big Little Lies and noteworthyly Goliath, I doubt that he was that invested in this. I bet he just saw another opportunity to make a show for HBO that would probably be moderately successful. And I imagine that's probably how Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant felt as well. But you know what? It's a very entertaining potboiler. It's kind of like those books that my wife picks up at Target, reads in about 2 hours, and then can't remember having read and picks it up on our shelf again and goes, did I read this? And then rereads it and goes, it was okay. Nice little thriller, psychological elements, some decent twists that you may or may not see coming depending on how good you are at predicting twists. And for some people, that's enough. For me and my wife, it's just the type of story that we enjoy. So I'm not going to criticize it for being that. That's all it's trying to be. It's not trying to be anything more. It's not trying to be an incisive look at the people with money. And, I don't come from money myself. The characters in this show are paying more for their child's education than I earn in a year. Sorry for being vulgar about this, but, so it's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, I relate to these characters. I have the same amount of wealth that they do. No, not at all. But I think that, from the perspective of it being a thriller with some interesting twists and, these gradual revelations about the characters where there's always something going on beneath the surface, yeah, it's pretty good. So that's the non-spoiler part of my review. Getting into spoilers, so this is directed by Susanne Bier, who directed The Night Manager and more recently Bird Box. And you really, really do feel her presence throughout the scenes, and I'm glad that they had her direct because she does really do a good job capturing the opulence of this lifestyle, but I feel like she also does a good job of establishing the psychological aspects of the story. The Night Manager was a lot about characters playing roles, and as I said here, we're still not entirely sure what's going on with everyone, but to a certain extent, everybody, with the exception of Nicole Kidman's character, seems to be playing roles. And the title, The Undoing, seems to have something to do with how all of these characters are gradually having their characters peeled back. And it seems pretty obvious to me that there's something going on with Hugh Grant's character, and it's not being very subtle about that. Now, whether he actually is the person to murder this woman, Matilda, Angelis is the actress who plays her, and she's an Italian actress playing a character I believe is from Puerto Rico. And this character had this odd fascination with Nicole Kidman's lead character throughout the episode. And it's interesting because they made the main character this relationship therapist whose career is based on observing people and making deductions about them. And it's going to be interesting to see if this is a trait that serves her well throughout this upcoming story, or whether it's something that kind of just is there and doesn't really get utilized that much. So far, you see glimmers of it being useful to her, but I doubt that she has realized how much she's going to need to observe and how much she's going to need to pay attention yet. She doesn't realize how involved in the story she is at the end of this episode. But for me, I felt like the cliffhanger ending worked. I'm very interested to see what happens next and to see how this character reacts as she finds herself embroiled in this murder and how it disrupts her life. I like Hugh Grant's performance. I think obviously he's come into his own as an actor a little bit recently, and here he seems to be playing someone who on the surface just seems like a charming fellow and, fairly straightforward, but there seems to be something going on under the surface. Now, if you've read the book, please don't spoil this for other people in the comments. I have not read the book that this is based on, but I suspect that the main question of this series is going to be, did he murder the woman who died or not? And we're going to find out that he's not everything that Nicole Kidman's character thinks he is. And, to me, I always find these stories somewhat interesting. I thought Defending Jacob, the questioning of whether or not Jacob was a murderer or not, was interesting. And I think that I'm interested in seeing them explore whether or not Hugh Grant's character here is all that he seems to be, or if there's what's going on underneath the surface. And, to a certain extent, I think a lot of people may criticize this show and say, well, I don't care about these people's problems because they're rich, so they don't have problems. But to me, that's kind of a naive view of what wealth does for you. Yes, we'd all like to have financial security. We'd all like to not have to worry about money. But that doesn't mean just because you don't have to worry about money that you don't have other concerns, that you're happy, that everything goes smoothly for you. And everything seems to be going smoothly for Nicole Kidman's character. And I think the interest in this show is going to come from discovering that there's things going on in her life that she doesn't know about, and that maybe her life isn't going as smoothly as she thinks it is. So obviously I said there's a lot of opulence here. I think that we enjoy getting to see these costumes, these characters. There were some scenes that I found hard to watch, like when they were raising money for the school at the party. I was getting Little Fires Everywhere vibes, and not in a good way. I was sitting here going, man, these people are so annoyingly rich. But they've, so far, I feel like, managed to keep Nicole Kidman's character from this, being guilty of this. So far, she seems to be this person who looks past money, looks past wealth and influence, and sees individuals, which it's her job to do. So that's a plus. So far, I'm interested to see where this is going. Do I feel like this is mind-blowing, revelatory television? No, but I think that there's a shortage of good things to watch right now, and nobody does this type of show the way that HBO does. But let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you're interested in seeing more reviews like this one, please subscribe.